Is it right for an internet service provider to tell us what we can and can't view? Now, for this particular instance, I'd say they were not apologetic, dude. We always hear people yell that their freedoms are being taken away and that they're being censored on social media because of something foolish they say. Most of the time, these claims are false. Today is not one of those times. Cloudflare, a major internet service company, pulled its support for KiwiFarms.com. Kiwi Farms was linked to a campaign of harassment and violent threats targeting, forgive me if I butcher your name, Clara Sorrenti, a Canadian trans woman who is a streamer on Twitch. They doxed her and they swatted her. So they posted her address, and then they called like the FBI and said she was in the middle of killing her mother, and got like SWAT teams ran in. So she winded up moving from Canada to Belfast, Northern Ireland to hide. However, through this KiwiFarms.com, people were able to find her there as well. Cloudflare's decision comes amid an ongoing debate over what power internet service providers have and whether they can choose not to show us certain sites that they deem a threat, or for any reason, basically. We have two sides to this story. Both are of equal importance. We have a trans woman. Honestly, I don't know how that works, but we have a person who is being literally harassed. From the little bit I looked into it, doesn't seem like an exaggeration. And then we have an internet service provider who says, because of this, we're making it to where you cannot visit that site. And it's true. I tried to go to it. Because Cloudflare isn't an internet service provider like the person you pay internet. They're bigger than that. So it's blocked, best I can tell, nationwide. Is it right for an internet service provider to tell us what we can and can't view? Now, for this particular instance, I'd say they were right. There was violence being spread through this forum. They stopped that violence, but I'm looking at the bigger picture here. In 2008, net neutrality was repealed. Now, net neutrality made it to where internet service providers couldn't say like charge us $9.99 a month to visit a certain website, like Facebook, for example. It also made it to where they can't do what's called fast passes. So like you could make a fast pass for Google as a search engine to where that runs good and fast, and then throttle down every other search engine, forcing you to only use Google, as if we weren't already. Now, you might think this is just one company. What does this really matter? Well, like hypothetically speaking, let's say this was Google that did this. Let's say there was a political scandal, like a sexual scandal. And let's say Google had a horse in this race and they decided, okay, so on the first 20 pages, all you're going to get is results showing this man's guilty. Even though, let's say in this instance, he's innocent. So anyone who wants to figure out their own conclusion and they go to Google it, all they see is facts that point them to the conclusion that this man's guilty. That could change elections. It could change the whole country. You might say, this has nothing to do with Google. Travis, you're exaggerating. Google owns a company called Capital G. It's their investment firm. Google and Microsoft invested $150 million into a particular internet service provider. Can you guess what internet service provider that was?
Cloudflare.
It was Cloudflare. So a move by Cloudflare is a move by Google and approved by Google. So it really is underneath a mask here. So we're torn. Depending on how you're raised and where you're from, you might think it's right or wrong to harass a person for being trans. I don't agree with that. I don't think he agrees with that. But I don't think it's about that particular instance. I think it's more about whether Cloudflare should be able to censor what we see for any reason. Could this be a move by Cloudflare using this particular issue as a smokescreen? Because they know we're not going to argue with this issue, right? Even the people who want to argue can't because of the way society is right now. Even though they were right to take down Kiwi Farms, they know we'll go along with this one, and maybe this starts to get the ball rolling. So maybe the next time they take down a site, they're right to do it. And maybe the next time after that, they're right. But maybe the sixth time, they take someone down because they're using adult humor. Because maybe they have a different political or religious stance. And maybe this is the start of the ball rolling that gets us to that point where we have to pay to access certain sites because that's what they're trying to do already, separate from this issue. internet service providers are wanting to charge us to visit certain websites as a sort of subscription. And the solution? Now, I don't know what the solution is, but my main question is that if this Cloudflare does DDoS protection for KiwiFarms.com, instead of taking down the website, they could find the IP addresses of these people who are posting this stuff. And we could go get them, right. We could actually target the people, but instead they chose to make it to where we can't even view this particular webpage. Have you ever heard of this website? Neither have I. Now, this website could be full of hate. I don't know. It probably is, but it could not. That's just what we're told. And that's the issue. I can't figure out for myself because I can't go to the website. It's just gone. Right now, there's a petition on change.org called Save Net Neutrality. Now, they need 3 million digital signatures for it to be the top petition on change.org. They have over 2.5 million right now. So we're going to put a link to that below. Also, I suggest everyone get themselves a VPN, virtual private network. They're cheap. It doesn't matter who you use. I'm not going to promote a specific one, mainly because we're not being paid by any of them. But for now, that works. But once again, that could change as well. I fear if we allow this, where does it end? And more importantly, who's the one deciding what's right for me to see and what's wrong? It's like a Christian making laws for everyone in this country, even though we have Catholics, Jewish people, What fits for you may not fit for me, and what fits for me, I can tell you for sure, is not going to fit for you. May 4th, the Supreme Court ruled that all internet service providers must block all video piracy websites, so like PrimeWire, things like that. I don't know if they've actually done this, but they've been ordered to do so. So why does the government in their largest form over here care if we're pirating videos? Because it affects the bottom line of one of the biggest businesses we have, and those businesses have the money, the power, and the influence to control our government. That's why Supreme Court judges are even making a ruling on movie piracy. Sometimes I think we just fly the just flag in a situation you can't argue about to get the ball rolling on some sort of situation we want to make a change in. Like when someone does something crazy and they say it's because of my religion. Because you can't really argue that point, Right. I think this is the same sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you don't. But I do feel that this is the start of something bigger, and they're using this as a stepping stone, as a block to push off of to start the dominoes moving in that direction. But I think the internet should stay free. And like I say, whoever is harassing her is scum. I support net neutrality, and I hope you do too. That is all we have for you this week. Next week, we will be right back here in these same 2 seats to report on how wide your mother's gash is. Everybody have a good evening. We are Non-Apologetic News. Non-Apologetic News. Non-Apologetic News.